The film follows the story of Matthew, a high school senior who leads a predictable and safe life. His world is turned upside down when he meets his new neighbor Danielle, who turns out to be a former porn star. Intrigued by her past and drawn to her, Matthew becomes involved in Danielle's life. Together, they navigate the challenges of her past and the difficulties of their blossoming relationship. As Matthew delves deeper into Danielle's world, he must face his fears and make decisions that could change their lives forever. Hello and welcome to I Am Movies. Matthew, a senior year student without a girlfriend or any daring escapades during his school years. He reminisces on the pride he felt when he received a scholarship acceptance letter from Georgetown University. As the student council president, Matthew proposes raising $25,000 to bring a talented Cambodian student named Samyang
Hi everyone, it's Samyang.
Study at Westport during a school gathering. Meanwhile, Matthew feels envious of the popular guys who skip class and have fun with girls. Matthew decides he wants to join them on the beach and skip class. He shares his plan with friends Klitz and Eli.
I am doing something, I'm going to class.
But they back out, leaving Matthew to pursue his idea alone. He gets in his car and starts chasing after the popular seniors. But a police officer runs after Matthew and asks him to pull over, but Matthew doesn't listen to the officer and wants to do something reckless. Eventually, the officer's car crashes, causing a tragic accident. In reality, Matthew hasn't even moved his car yet. It was all in his imagination. Matthew arrives home and finds the Petersons discussing the Georgetown scholarship with his parents. Determined to win, he practices his speech while taking out the trash and notices an attractive girl getting out of the car he saw earlier. Distracted, he accidentally bumps into the trash can. Matthew shares his experience with Eli during a phone call and tells him how unbelievable this girl is. While talking on the phone, he saw the girl next door changing clothes and abruptly ends the call.
Oh my god.
Matthew admires this girl's body and cancels Eli's call twice. At the peak of it all, she catches him in the act. His parents call his name. Worried, Matthew fears she might have reported him to his parents, but his mother introduces Danielle.
This is Danielle.
As a visitor from London House sitting next door, and Matthew is asked to show Danielle around the area. As they drive together in Danielle's car, an awkward silence fills the air. Eventually, Danielle pulls over at a remote location and instructs Matthew to strip naked to even the score. Feeling shocked and vulnerable, he reluctantly complies. She takes his underwear and drives away, leaving him stranded and exposed on the road. Minutes later, she returns, having exacted her revenge, and picks him up, allowing him to put his clothes back on. Matthew and Danielle visit a diner where they open up about their lives. Danielle confesses that she left her job and wants a fresh start. When Matthew asks about her relationship status, she reveals that she is single. Curious about Matthew's recent wild experiences,
So what's the craziest thing you've done lately?
Danielle realizes that he hasn't done anything particularly adventurous. Discovering his single status, she encourages him to find someone cute who can make him laugh and motivate him. As she speaks, Danielle draws a picture of someone resembling herself, emphasizing the qualities she suggests he seeks. Afterward, she drives him back home. However, when the moment to part ways arrives, Matthew hesitates and refrains from kissing her, despite her expectation. The next day, Matthew shares the events of the previous night with his friends. Eli mocks him, suggesting he missed an opportunity for physical intimacy and playfully teasing him.
Should've kissed her.
As their class begins, Matthew glances out the window and spots Danielle waiting for him. He decides to skip class and spend time with her instead. This becomes a pattern, with Matthew regularly skipping classes to be with her. During one of their outings, Matthew shows Danielle a picture of Samyang, describing him as a genius with the potential to cure cancer in the future. Witnessing Matthew's kindness, Danielle takes him to a strange house and breaks in. Matthew follows her and is surprised to find her undressing and diving into the pool. Later, the owner of the house, who happens to be Matthew's school principal, almost caught them, but they flee. They seek refuge at Eli's house, where Matthew introduces Danielle to his friends, who are amazed by her attractiveness.
Dude, I know.
That night, they all attend a party hosted by a popular student named Derek. As they get there, all the students are blown away and stare at Danielle. When Derek's friend Hunter sees Matthew and Danielle together, he makes Derek kick Matthew out of the party, telling him that the party is full. But Matthew is fed up acting the nice guy, and when he sees the boys making out with girls at the party, he goes to Danielle and kisses her passionately where everyone can see them. The next day at school, Eli shows Matthew an adult video. To Matthew's surprise, he sees Danielle starring in that video.
A piece of wood than that, cowboy.
Matthew gets jealous and mad at Danielle. When Matthew gets home, he sees Danielle sitting with his mom. He imagines a lot of erotic stuff, He snaps out of it and tells her they're hanging out tonight. At night, Matthew takes Danielle to a cheap motel with alcohol to make her drunk. She realizes that Matthew has figured out that she's a porn star. Danielle strips and asks him, "Is this what you want?" Then Danielle gets mad and tells him that she didn't tell him about her past because she loved how he looked at her like a normal person.
Because I love the way you looked at me.
Then she leaves angrily. Matthew later visits her to apologize. Upon entering her house, he is startled to find a stranger present. The man introduces himself as Kelly.
Kelly.
Later, the three of them end up at a club, much to Matthew's surprise. During their time at the club, Matthew spots Mr. Peterson, and in his excitement, he informs Kelly. Kelly calls Mr. Peterson, who is equally shocked by Matthew's presence. Kelly persuades Mr. Peterson to treat Matthew to a dance. The next day in school, the teacher plays a sex educational video for the students to raise their awareness of having sex with no protection. But the students don't like that video because it's lame, old-fashioned, and the quality is too bad. After the class, Matthew and his friends meet Kelly. Kelly tells them about his idea of shooting the porn video at the prom, saying it will sell so hard.
We're at a prom. That video would sell.
Later, Matthew goes with Kelly to the bank and speaks with a front desk employee. Kelly learns that Matthew raised $25,000 for Sammy. Matthew introduces Kelly to the attendant as his student advisor, and Kelly flirts with her, and she responds clumsily. The following day, Matthew visits Danielle, but finds her with Kelly, getting ready to leave for a porn convention. He reminds her about her plan to start over, and she appears melancholic, stating that this is her true identity. Later that night, Matthew gathers his friends and they decide to attend the convention. Upon entering, they see porn stars dancing and signing autographs for fans. Eli, carrying a recording camera, begins filming, but is approached by security who informs him that the press is not allowed. Eli claims to be a high school student working on a project. They spot Danielle. Matthew approaches her, offering an apology by telling her she is the best thing that had ever happened to him.
The best thing that ever happened to me, okay?
Danielle feels saddened and steps down from the stage, and she meets another porn director named Hugo. He suggests that she should be with him instead of Kelly, but Kelly intervenes and dismisses Hugo. Matthew also steps in and informs Kelly that Danielle doesn't want to be there. In response, Kelly takes Matthew to a storage room and issues a threat, warning him to stop influencing Danielle with thoughts that could harm his business. But Matthew doesn't give up and goes after Danielle and hands her a paper saying she's better than this and leaves.
And you're better than this.
Danielle opens the paper and sees her drawing on her first day with Matthew, and the three friends leave the party sad. The next day, Matthew rehearses his speech and Danielle knocks on his door. She offers him a ride to school and expresses gratitude for his belief in her. Matthew musters the courage to ask her to be his prom date, and she agrees. However, during class, Kelly unexpectedly enters, provoking Matthew's anger. Kelly forcefully interrupts the class and drags Matthew outside to his car. Kelly accuses Matthew of making him lose $30,000 because of Danielle. Kelly demands that Matthew repay the amount and goes ahead to hit him in the face, causing him pain. To numb the pain, Kelly manipulates Matthew into consuming a pill. Kelly proposes for Matthew to steal Hugo's award for him to get his freedom. They break into Hugo's house to steal the award, but Kelly retreats and abandons Matthew. But Matthew finds the award and successfully steals it, but Hugo catches him in the act. Hugo commands his parrot to chase Matthew, but he manages to escape. He then calls Klitz for a ride. On their way, he started feeling and acting weird. At this time, Matthew is running late for his scholarship dinner, and Danielle dresses him up on the way. She informs him that the drug Kelly had given him was ecstasy, causing Matthew to panic.
Oh my god, am I gonna die?
However, the effects of the drug begin to manifest, making Matthew behave strangely. Upon entering the dining hall, Matthew playfully touches everyone he meets. He even kisses one of his competitors, which amuses Danielle. Matthew starts dancing without reason. During the speech, Matthew laughs at his competitors, and during his turn, he struggles to read. The winner is announced, but another student emerges victorious, leaving Danielle feeling sad for her boyfriend. The next day, Matthew visits the bank intending to close his account and withdraw funds. However, he's told that his advisor, Kelly, had taken the $25,000. This revelation shocks Matthew. Distressed, Matthew rushes to Danielle's house and confides in her about the situation. They brainstorm ideas to get out of trouble. Matthew finds Eli and Klitz to work with him on his plan of raising the $25,000 for Sammy. Eli agrees to help, but Klitz initially refuses. However, Eli reminds Klitz that they are a tripod and emphasizes that they stand or fall together.
Take out one of our legs, then we all fall.
Eventually, Klitz agrees to assist. The next day, Matthew and Danielle enlist the help of her friends who work as porn stars too. They return the stolen award to Hugo and strike a deal with him, promising to cover Sannang's travel expenses if Matthew fulfills his part of the agreement. Prom date is here. Matthew and his friends, along with the porn stars and a camera crew, document everything. Together, the group arrives at the prom in grand style. While inside, Matthew stares at Hunter and his friends and tells Eli that they were going to make them the actors for the porn video. When Hunter and his friends see Matthew and Danielle, they approach them and ask her to give them a moment alone. Before leaving, Danielle kisses Matthew to spite them. Hunter and his friends ask Matthew to hook them up, but Matthew throws them an offer of acting in the movie and they agree.
Your scripts. Sign the release form at the top.
He gives them a script, and Derek drops one of his accidentally on the floor. When they reach the class, Matthew tells Derek the party is full, just like Derek did to him earlier, and dismisses him. Then the rest get into the room to start filming. Matthew heads back to meet Danielle. They smile and dance together during the prom. The team continues to shoot different scenes, and Derek later begs to join them. However, the head teacher stumbles upon the photo release paper and confronts Matthew about it, but he denies it. While dancing, Danielle expresses thanked Matthew for helping her experience her first prom and
I never went to prom.
kisses his hand. One of the crew tells Matthew that there was a problem. Matthew rushes to the location, only to discover that Derek is facing a sexual issue and is unable to perform. Despite their efforts to find a replacement, no one is willing to step in. Faced with the dilemma, Matthew decides to take matters into his own hands. Recognizing that it is his problem, Matthew decides to remove his clothes and prepares to take the role. However, just as they are about to start, the head teacher catches them and yells, "Who's in charge here?" Unfortunately, no one responds, but it turns out that Matthew had merely imagined the whole encounter while he was in the changing room. With a hesitant mindset, Matthew contemplates the situation. However, when he notices the lingering lipstick mark on his hand from Danielle's affectionate kiss, he has a change of heart. He decides to take full responsibility and dismiss the entire project, facing the consequences alone. Just as he is about to make this decision known, Klitz steps forward and volunteers to take on the task. They complete the filming and celebrate their accomplishment with champagne in the limousine. After dropping everyone off, Matthew and Danielle engage in a passionate kiss, which leads to them sharing their first sexual encounter in the car. Matthew gets home the next day and receives a panicked call from Eli, who informs him that the tape has gone missing. As Matthew enters his house, he finds Kelly holding the videotape and sitting with his parents and the principal. Kelly requests a private conversation with Matthew. Afterwards, he threatens to show his parents the tape. Kelly accuses Matthew of stealing his idea. However, Matthew remains calm and informs Kelly of the deal he had with Hugo. Kelly decides to play the tape for Matthew's parents and principal. As they watch it, they realize that it is a highly informative sex education video, far superior to the ones used in schools. Impressed by Matthew's work, both his parents and the principal offer their congratulations. The concept quickly gains traction and becomes a viral sensation, resulting in Matthew and Hugo accumulating great wealth. In his yearbook, Matthew fondly recalls the 3 legs of the tripod, acknowledging his business partner Hugo and his student advisor Kelly, to whom he sent a pack of cigars as a gesture of gratitude. Matthew then meets Sannang, telling him to find a cure for cancer. Meanwhile, Eli has established himself as a professional director, conducting his educational seminars. Klitz, who had concealed his face during filming, now takes pride in his significant accomplishments, which have contributed to his self-confidence. With his newfound prosperity, Matthew can now afford the expenses associated with applying to Georgetown, and he is delighted to have Danielle, the girl next door, always by his side. And that's the end of this recap. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more. Thanks for watching and see you at the next one.